Can Zhen Huan, blessed with both beauty and talent, truly outshine all in the imperial harem and enjoy everlasting favor? The next morning, just after I had paid my respects to the Empress, she smiled and commanded someone to hold me back, saying, "The Emperor has already said that you are not to perform any rituals, just sit comfortably." I had no choice but to sit down, and then the Empress said, "This morning, the Emperor personally informed the Empress Dowager of your pregnancy. She was very happy, and later you will accompany me to pay respects to her." I bowed my head and agreed as instructed. Upon arriving at the Ening Palace, the Empress Dowager was in a very good mood, personally watering the flowers and plants in the courtyard. Seeing me and the Empress arriving together made her even happier. After washing her hands, we all went inside. I stood in front of the Empress Dowager as per the custom, and she said, "Others may stand, but you are with child, so please take a seat." I then sat down and thanked her. The Empress Dowager asked the Empress, "The day after tomorrow is the day of the enthronement ceremony. How are the preparations?" Then looking at me, she said to the Empress, "The noble consort is now a legitimate master, and she must undergo the enthronement ceremony. It's just that the schedule is a bit tight, which seems somewhat rushed." I hurriedly stood up and said, "I dare not ask for anything. Everything is up to the Empress Dowager and the Empress." The Empress Dowager said, "Sit down, I know you are sensible. It may be rushed, but we cannot lose dignity." The Empress smiled and said, "Mother, rest assured. Everything has been properly prepared. It's just that the ceremonial clothes and crown for the noble consort's enthronement can't be made in time, so I had the Ministry of Rites take the clothes and crown used for Consort Jing's previous ceremony and alter them." The Empress Dowager nodded and said, "The Empress has done very well, making do while maintaining propriety." She then gestured for a palace maid to bring over a silver tray lined with bright red silk, on which rested a gold hairpin decorated with lotus flowers, the character for happiness, and bats. The top of the hairpin featured two harmonious immortals. It was the same one given to Mei Zhuang during her pregnancy, which was damaged when Xianling threw it away in anger. It had now been repaired with a sapphire. The Empress Dowager beckoned me to come forward, smiling and saying, "Du Liangyuan is pregnant, so I gave her a pair of jade bracelets. Now I will give you this gold hairpin." My heart skipped a beat, and I immediately thought of the various troubles that arose from Mei Zhuang's pregnancy, feeling somewhat ominous. However, in a daze, the Empress Dowager had already securely placed the hairpin in my hair, saying, "It looks very good on you." I quickly came to my senses and thanked her for the grace. The Empress then said with a smile, "Mother really cares for the noble consort. When Consort K was pregnant, Mother only gave her a jade pendant." After some polite conversation, the Empress Dowager gave me many instructions on prenatal care before we all dispersed and returned to our respective palaces. Back in Ingsen Hall, just as I was about to change into my regular clothes, I noticed many bottles and jars on the dressing table, especially a small box made of green jade decorated with powder-colored chrysanthemums, which was particularly eye-catching. I opened it and found a box of cool and fragrant transparent ointment and couldn't help but ask, "What is this?" Jean, she smiled and said, "This is Yulu Chongji cream, just delivered by the Emperor. It's said to be the best for removing scars." Pointing to a small powder-colored box, she added, "This is Fuyin Ruyu cream, for healing bloodstains." She then pointed out various other medicines meant to heal the scars on my face, all gifted by Xianling. Sitting in front of the mirror, I gently touched the scars on my face, thankful that yesterday's blow from the pine cone wasn't direct, reducing its force, and the scratch wasn't too deep. However, the two blood-red scars beneath my left ear were shocking, like stains of blood on pristine snow. Jean, she was silent for a while before saying, "Thinking back on yesterday's incident still scares me. Your Majesty, now that you are pregnant, you must be careful in all matters." I hummed in agreement, and after staring at her for a moment, Jean, she understood and said, "I will take extra care of your Majesty's diet. The Emperor has already assigned a chef from the Imperial Kitchen to specially prepare your meals, which won't be handled by anyone else. The medicines you take are also personally prepared by Physician Zhang, a seasoned professional, so there should be no mistakes." Feeling reassured, I changed into a light jade-colored chiffon blouse paired with a flowing light peach-red silk skirt. After enjoying the flowers for a while, I felt tired and lay down on the long couch to nap. As I dozed off, I felt as if there was a shadowy figure sitting in front of me. Opening my eyes, I saw the slender figure of Lingrong. She smiled and said, "Seeing sister so soundly asleep, I didn't dare to disturb you." Dressed in the mild weather of spring, Lingrong wore a simple dark green robe with a very faint blue floral pattern. Up close, I noticed the intricate design on her garment. Her hair was styled in the simplest of buns, adorned with a silver hairpin inlaid with dark red agate and some silver foil beads, making her look as fragile as a willow swaying in the wind, barely able to stand. Her voice startled me, almost causing me to pale. Lingrong was favored for her singing voice, which was as melodious as the song of an oriole, but now a cold had turned her voice so hoarse and unpleasant, it sounded like a flute with a broken reed. Lingrong seemed to notice my shock, her expression dimming as if wounded, and she slowly said, "I've startled sister. With my condition, I really shouldn't have come out." I quickly took her hand and asked, "How could a cold have been so severe? Can't the imperial physician cure it?" She nodded slightly, her eyes welling up as she forced a smile. "The physician said the medicine was strong because the cold was obstructing, and as a result, my throat was damaged." I angrily said, "What kind of careless physician is that? You are already frail. How could they use such strong medicine? How will you recover now? I will go and inform the Empress to dismiss that physician right away." Saying so, I started to get up and look for my shoes. Lingrong hurriedly stopped me. "Sister, please don't. It was my own urgency to get better that made me ask the physician for strong medicine. It's not the physician's fault." I sighed. "But what did the Emperor say about your voice?" Lingrong gave a bitter smile, lightly touching the hem of her robe, and said faintly, "A few days after the cold improved, the Emperor summoned me to the Yuan Hall to sing, but unfortunately, I couldn't produce any sound. The Emperor then instructed me to rest well, and after it happened a couple more times, he has not summoned me since." Her tone was very indifferent and calm, as if she was talking about someone else's affairs, not her own. I exclaimed in surprise, "When did this happen?" "I had no idea." Lingrong calmly responded, "It's not a glorious matter, why should everyone know about it?" I couldn't help feeling downhearted and said, "You've really suffered." We sat opposite each other for a long while, each lost in our own thoughts. Suddenly Lingrong smiled and said, "I was so caught up in talking about my own issues that I made sister sad, and I even forgot the purpose of my visit today." She stood up and bowed, saying, "I heard sister is pregnant. I want to congratulate you first." I laughed and said, "Why stand on ceremony between us?" Lingrong continued, "I was scared out of my wits when I heard sister was injured yesterday, not knowing what to do. I wanted to come see you right away, but I had just taken medicine and couldn't be exposed to the wind, so I had to wait until now to come. I hope sister won't mind." Then she asked, "Are you feeling better now?" As I was combing my long hair like clouds in front of the mirror, the mention of yesterday's scare made me angry, and I tapped the comb hard on the rosewood dressing table, leaving a lingering sound. Lingrong quickly tried to soothe me. "Sister, don't be angry. The pine squirrel has been killed." Hearing that, Du Liangyuan was frightened in anger. They even chopped off its 4 paws. I put down the comb and said, "I don't hate the pine squirrel. What I hate is that someone might have used it to attack." After pondering for a moment, Lingrong said, "After investigating the matter and thinking about it for a long time, if it wasn't an accident, then someone must have instigated it. But what I can't understand is, with all the ladies and princesses present, why did Consort K's pine squirrel attack only Du Liangyuan? Was there anything unusual about her?" I thought for a moment and then realized, I heard that Du Liangyuan has a special fragrance on her, given to her by the Emperor a month ago, unique to her alone. Lingrong said, "That's it then. Consort K is skilled in handling cats, and among the ladies and princesses, anyone who bears a child poses the greatest threat to the eldest prince. Consort K, being the mother of the eldest prince, naturally wouldn't sit idly by. Of course, this is just my speculation, but sister must be very careful from now on. Yesterday it was Du Liangyuan. Next time their attention might be on sister." Hearing her well-reasoned argument, I couldn't help but marvel at how much more astute Lingrong had become over time, and I gave her a deep look and nodded in agreement. Seeing me look at her like that, Lingrong felt a bit embarrassed and awkwardly said, These are just my own foolish thoughts. What could sister possibly not understand? It's like I'm trying to teach my grandmother to suck eggs. I slowly said, if you weren't close to me, you wouldn't share these thoughts with me. How is that foolish? Lingrong slightly lowered her head, and then lifted it again with a light smile. She came closer to examine my wounds, saying, they are healing well. As long as no scars are left, it will be fine. Touching the wound on my cheek, I said, it's nothing serious. The imperial physician has already seen it, and the emperor has also bestowed medicine. I believe it will be fine after applying the ointment for a few days. Lingrong paused for a moment, glanced at the ointment bestowed by Xianling and said, the medicine from the emperor is naturally good, but firstly, you are pregnant and should not use just any medicine, and secondly, some of the emperor's medicines are exotic gifts and may not suit our constitution, right? I thought about it and nodded. You make a good point. She took out a small, exquisitely enameled and painted round box from her sleeve and said, this scar-soothing gel is a family heirloom of Lingrong's. It is said to have restored the beloved concubine of Lord Wu's son Huan, Lady Deng, after her face was injured by a jade rui. It is made according to an ancient recipe with fish glue, amber, pearl powder, otter marrow, jade dust, and honey, mixed with clear peach blossom juice. She listed the ingredients as if reciting treasures. Peach blossoms and pearl powder rejuvenate the skin, giving it a good complexion. Fish glue and honey smooth the skin. Jade dust and amber heal wounds and scars, with otter marrow being especially precious, fading scars and restoring skin to its original state. The beautifully painted lid of the box depicted a pattern of flowers blooming in all 4 seasons in gold outline. The box contained a milky white, semi-transparent ointment with a refreshing floral fragrance. It felt cool and soothing upon application. I couldn't help but be surprised. The rest is fine, but otter marrow is extremely rare, and it might even be hard to come by in the palace. Otters are only found in the Fujian River, are timid by nature, and hide in underwater caves at the sight of humans, making them very difficult to catch. Only during the annual fish sacrifice, when otters fight over mates and some die or leave bone fragments in the caves, can a small amount of marrow be extracted. And it has to be fresh. Otherwise, only bone powder remains, which, although useful, is far less potent than the marrow. Lingrong listened with a smile and praised. Sister is well informed indeed. She continued, normally, some spices would be added to sweeten the scent, but considering sister is pregnant and should avoid spices, I used more fresh flowers to adjust the fragrance, so sister won't feel the medicinal smell. She held it under my nose. Sister, do you like the scent? I took a light whiff and indeed found the aroma rich and enchanting, as if surrounded by a boundless sea of flowers in the imperial garden during spring. I smiled and said, it's very nice, but it's too precious for me to accept. Lingrong held my hand with concern and said, what's mine is yours, sister. As long as your scars fade, I'll be at ease. Do you want to see me worried? In her urgency, Lingrong's voice became even hoarser with a rough, hissing sound, as if wind was whistling through her teeth. Hearing this and seeing her genuine concern, I reluctantly accepted it. Lingrong also advised, sister, with a wound on your face, now that it's spring with lots of pollen and dust, and the epidemic isn't clear, the palace is burning more mugwort, causing ash to fly everywhere. If you're not careful, it could adversely affect the healing of the wound. Moreover, after applying this scar-soothing gel, you should avoid wind. Perhaps you should cover your face with a veil. I appreciated her kindness and laughed. That's very thoughtful of you. Even the imperial physician said I should avoid getting dust or pollen on my wound. For a moment, Lingrong's gaze relaxed, as if clearing away layers of clouds, revealing a serene clarity. She smiled and said, that's for the best. Take good care of yourself, sister. I must take my leave now.
Follow us to avoid getting lost and enjoy endless exciting stories. For more content, please go to the Story Wall homepage to view more exciting novels.